it comes to the issue of electoral reforms, which I think down the line we're going to talk about, we feel that we have not done enough as far as that is concerned. So overall, I'm very happy about the...
Let's focus on the 31st of July that you pinpointed that day to say this is going to be our day to protest against corruption. What was informing that decision to say 31st will be the day?
31st is a day that a team of Transform Zimbabwe leaders came up with. You know, I sat down with, you know, by then, as soon as we decided that we want to focus on corruption, we reached out to other Zimbabweans from outside the party who agreed and said, yes, this is a noble issue, let's go for it. And then we decided to come up with a date. I think we had no more than 5 people that we said, okay, fine, which date do we set? We set up the 31st. And of course, after that, it was very interesting that lots of theories and conspiracies came about to say this was chosen because of this. But it was simply a date chosen from where we were to say, let's go into the streets on the 31st of July. And of course, it became so infamous that it has now become a movement.
Corruption, like you rightly said, is one of the things that really are denting and bedeviling this country. Now, we want to find out from you, how deep do you think this scourge is? And what do we need as a country to fix that?
You see, to talk of how deep corruption, the corruption scourge is, would be an understatement. You see, corruption has become part and parcel of the Zimbabwean state. You know, all the state institutions, the executive, you know, is collapsed into corruption. They survive on corruption. I mean, you know it. As you are driving in the streets every day, the cops are... So the other day, I'll be specific. The other day, I was coming in from Mutoko. Then I had stopped over for meetings and other things, and then we decided to come and honor an early morning meeting in Harare. So we traveled overnight. And then as we were getting onto the Enterprise robot, and then there was a police roadblock, and then cars were queuing. And then police apparently were saying, you are traveling after curfew hours. Curfew hours. And then they said to me, this is past curfew hours, and then so you got to come out and pay a fine or something. Then meanwhile, they blatantly and clearly, they had not realized who I was. So they said, no, at least Mkoma, you can pay $2 and then you'll be out of this place soon.
That's the fine for violating
not curfew. Even a fine. Exactly. I said, what curfew are you talking about? They said, no, the curfew which the president imposed is still in place. It has not been removed. I said, my goodness. And then meanwhile, the people in a queue paying $2, I saw them. And then I told him who I was. It was dark, so he had not realized my face. I told him that I'm no, my friend, my name is Jacob Ngarivume. And then as soon as he picked the name, I said, Mr. Ngarivume, I had not seen it was you, so you can go. I said, no, I don't have to go. I want to understand the procedure. What are you doing here? Then meanwhile, I see other people are coming in, they are paying the bribes. So this has become so normal. So normal that even the people who are paying the bribes, it has become so normal. And then, of course, you are hounded into paying these bribes because of corruption. So corruption is part and parcel of who we are. Government is looting institutions, overpaying of contracts, tenders, and so on. It's happening. And the same families are building Mbuzi roundabout, they are mining gas, they've got contracts to supply Zupco buses, they are buying women's pads, they are doing everything. It's so sickening. It's so sickening. And this is where we stand. And so the corruption has become part and parcel of our daily lives. And we need to deal with it if we are going to move Zimbabwe forward.
And that is the question. We need to deal with it. How?
Confrontation. Corruption, you know, our strategy for 2020, for the July 31st protest movement, we said, number one, we need to bring awareness of this issue locally. We want to go back to the basics, and the people of Zimbabwe need to understand that corruption is not right. So let's go back and bring awareness of corruption at a local level. Number two, let's also bring awareness regionally that we've got this huge problem of corruption which is incapacitating our functioning as a nation. And then thirdly, let's bring international awareness, international community awareness to the issues of corruption in this country. And we felt that that would be a good starting point to bring back the issues of corruption at the center stage. That was the focus of the 31st July movement. And that's precisely what we did. That's exactly what we did to bring awareness. And of course, then the protest is to put pressure on the state, because state corruption is what is killing this country. And let's put in pressure, let's go for the protests. Because if we don't resist corruption, if we don't stand up to resist corruption, then we're going to have it forever.
The president of the country is on record saying that we do not tolerate corruption. That's number one. Number two, when he came in, we saw the establishment of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. We saw that organization being given powers, including arresting powers. Where do you think the wheels are coming off when the state president is saying no to corruption? There are institutions that are given the mandate to deal with corruption.
The Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission was established by a parliamentary committee, I think even before Emerson came, the current president came to power. And yes, I have specifically, I have no much respect for him, honestly, I'll be frank. I have no much respect for him as president. But every time he's talking about issues to do with corruption, the economy, I follow. Yeah. But there is a huge oxymoron between the things he says and what is practiced on the ground. This is where the problem is. When I was arrested in 2020 for organizing those protests, I spent 45 days without trial. One of the things they said against me is that he is sponsored by the West to talk about corruption. To them, they don't believe that as Zimbabwean, normal as we are, we've no capacity to denounce corruption on our own. It only takes the West. Once they have that mentality, it shows me that they've got a lot of things to hide. So, yes, there's the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, but let's face the facts. How many people have been convicted since the establishment of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission? I've been personally to the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission with my team. Some of them are in here. We've been to the police, CID. We've tried to meet the commissioner responsible for dealing with corruption. We have been to ZAC, we've been to different government institutions to try to interrogate and speak to them to see where the wheels are getting off. Yeah. And we've realized one thing, that there's no seriousness at all. There's no commitment. In as much as there are statements that we can deal with corruption, we are ready to do A, B, C, D, but there's no commitment. Commitment is zero. At the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, one of the commissioners said to us, you know what, let this be off camera and so on. Mr. Government, I'll be frank with you. There's a lot of corruption in this country. And money is moving and things are happening. If you guys slacking, we are also looking forward to be freed by your actions. If you go ahead with the protests and the pressure, that's the only way we can achieve change. We are not gonna do it ourselves because our hands are tied. He said that to me. He was a gentleman. He said that to me. Our hands are tied. We are willing to deal with the issues of corruption, but politics is so strong. It's an albatross around us. We can't do nothing. So it shows that other than what the president says, wherever he says it, it's all but rhetoric, empty rhetoric. There's no commitment. His family has been smeared in corruption deals. He has not come out to clear those. And nothing has happened from the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, from the police and everywhere. So there's no commitment whatsoever.